Most people want clarity. They want to think clearly, to understand what they're seeing with their own eyes. But clarity isn't always easy to find, especially in a world filled with constant input. So, what actually blocks clear thinking? And why does clarity sometimes feel difficult to maintain? One of the biggest obstacles is volume, the sheer amount of information people encounter every day. The news, social media, conversations, notifications. When everything demands your attention, it starts to become fragmented. And fragmented attention often leads to fragmented thinking. Emotion can also reduce your clarity, not because emotion is bad, but because emotion changes your focus. It highlights only certain information while pushing other information into the background, which in turn makes it harder to see the full picture. Kind of like looking at a tree instead of the entire forest. Another obstacle is speed. The pressure to react immediately, to comment, to choose one side or the other, to respond. But reaction is very different from reflection. And clarity usually requires some reflection, at least for a moment. Repetition also plays a role. The more something is repeated, the more familiar it becomes. And familiar ideas often feel more trustworthy. Even before they've been fully examined. The good news is that awareness changes the equation because awareness creates space, space between the information and the reaction, space between emotion and a decision. And that space is where clarity begins to return back into the equation. One of the simplest ways to improve your clarity is to slow down. Simply slowing down can help improve your clarity. Not to stop thinking, but to think more deliberately. That allows us time to think more deliberately. Long enough to see what might otherwise be missed. Clarity requires attention. Clarity doesn't usually disappear all at once. It gets crowded out by noise, by reaction, by overload. And that means clarity can also be rebuilt one decision at a time. Because clear thinking isn't something you find, it is something that you actively practice.